welcome back to the video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about my rating system for movies. So this isn't going to be my normal content like movie reviews, trailer reactions, theory videos, any of that kind of stuff. But I do want to make this update video just because you guys will see moving forward, my scores will be fluctuating a little bit because I've officially changed the system and like the numbers that I'm going to rate my movies on. Also in this video, I will be giving examples of movies that will be fitting into that scale on the rating just so you guys can get a grasp of what movies I think are in that general category. If you guys are new in here, make sure to subscribe and notifications so you don't miss any time I upload a video or go live. But without wasting more time, let's get into it. So I'm going over every single number, and I do my ranking system out of 10, and then obviously I kind of fluctuate it when it gets onto Letterboxd. And the reason that I do my system on 10 is because I like the 0.5 scale because it lets me kind of differentiate specifically what I want to rank movies as. So in general, if I think a movie is a good movie, but I think it's still above something else, I can put it at a 6.5 instead of a 6. So starting off the rating system, which is a 4 or below, honestly, a 0 to 4 is just really not good at all whatsoever. Examples of movies like this would be New Mutants, To All the Boys, and like Thor Dark World. These are movies that I wouldn't consider revisiting ever again unless I absolutely had to, and genuinely films that I think are just outright bad. So moving on, a 5 out of 10 I would consider a passable movie. Examples of this are X-Men Apocalypse, Venom Let There Be Carnage, Cruella, Malcolm and Marie, and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. These movies would obviously have some major fatal flaws in that they would be really heavily hindered by one big thing. For example, X-Men Apocalypse. I talked about this in my X-Men ranked video. If you haven't already seen that, click the link in the description down below. But in that video, I said that the villain is the fatal flaw of the movie. For example, Cruella, I think the fatal flaw is the absolutely unnecessarily long runtime. TASM 2, I think there's just way too much going on. Venom Let There Be Carnage, I think the writing and characterization is a major flaw. And the list goes on for different movies. But a passable movie, I would see myself revisiting at some point in the future, and I wouldn't be dreading a rewatch. But next up is a 6 out of 10, and this is a movie that I would consider to be flat out good. Movies like this, for example, would be Red Notice, Spider-Man Far From Home, Morbius, or Uncharted. Now this is where my 0.5 system comes in because for 6s and 7s, there has to be a big distinction. For example, I would give Morbius a 6 out of 10, whereas I'd give Spider-Man Far From Home a 6.5 out of 10. And even Spider-Man Far From Home for me is on the leeway between 6.5 and 7. So in that case, it would be an example where on Letterboxd, instead of marketing as a 6, I would mark it as a 7 because that's where it's closer to in my eyes. Also, I would rewatch a good movie, and I think Morbius is one of the bigger examples of why I'm making this video. And movies like Morbius in general, where they're just good, but I don't want to classify them with like bottom of the barrel movies. And I'm basically shifting my entire ranking system down just 1 point, and that gives me a lot more leeway in the middle area because recently I've been rating a lot of movies a 7 or an 8, and I think I need to have more leeway where I can rate it a 6 to 6.5, 7 to 7.5, or an 8 to 8.5. With that being said, moving on to a 7 out of 10, I would consider a 7 out of 10 movie a really good movie. For example, The Lost City, Fresh, Spider-Man 3, French Dispatch, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. These movies are ones that I wouldn't mind rewatching any day of the week. They would be a really fun time, well-written movies with just a few flaws that make me enjoy it a little bit less, but as a whole, it's still a really fun time. One example of this is French Dispatch. Initially, I would have given it like a 6, but as I'm bumping everything up and kind of comparing it to stuff before, I would definitely move it up to a 7 now that I think about it because it is a really good movie with just a few flaws here and there, but they don't drag the entire thing completely down. But now moving on to an 8 out of 10, I would consider this to be a great movie. Examples of this would be Zack Snyder's Justice League, James Bond's No Time to Die, Malignant, X, and Batman Begins. I would consider these movies to have flaws, but they're not like massive flaws where I'd actually take away from the movies. One big example of this is Zack Snyder's Justice League. One flaw with this movie that I had personally was that obviously I'd already seen like the first half of the movie, the story of that in the theatrical cut, but everything else makes up for it, the different visuals, the different minimal characterizations that are changed. Just small things like that that I would still consider a flaw, but I still wouldn't majorly take away from the movie as a whole. Now you guys might also be wondering, why would I put Malignant and Zack Snyder's Justice League on the same level? Well, it's because I enjoyed Malignant way more than I did Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I really want to implement into this new system my enjoyment a lot more before I'd say, okay, I'm going to put it on a checklist of visuals, script, characters, all that kind of stuff, but I never really took into consideration my enjoyment of the movie. And I enjoy Malignant way more than I did Zack Snyder's Justice League. I think Zack Snyder's Justice League overall is a way better film. It's way better shot, way better written, all that kind of stuff. But I enjoyed Malignant way more. That's why it's on the same level. It kind of balances out for me. Next up is a 9 out of 10. I would consider these movies movies to be phenomenal. I would say there's very, very minimal flaws, and these flaws that I get from these 9 out of 10 movies are going to be complete nitpicks. Movies that would fit in the 9 out of 10 category would be The Last Duel, No Way Home, Knives Out, Infinity War, The Green Knight, La La Land, Good Time, and Uncut Gems. And this is where we would move on to the final level, which is a 10 out of 10. This would be an all-time classic, a perfect movie with zero nitpicks, zero gripes. And these movies would include Parasite, The Dark Knight, Spider-Man 2, The Batman, Prisoners, Nightcrawler. These are just absolutely phenomenal all-time classic movies that I would rewatch every day if I could. So for example, one that I have a conflicting opinion on is Good Time, which I have at basically a 9.5 out of 10. But in comparison to movies like The Batman or Parasite or even The Dark Knight, it kind of just bumps it slightly down in comparison to those. So that's why I give it a 9 out of 10. But guys, that was my entire new rating system explained. As time goes on, you guys will see slower changes to the channel when it comes to my rating systems because I'll be implementing this one a lot more. I just want to make this update video so you guys understand that if I gave a movie a 7 out of 10 before, it might end up being a 6 out of 10 on Letterboxd or something like that. I also recently have been watching a lot more movies, but I don't have the chance to always review them on YouTube, but I always talk about movies that I watch over on Twitter and on Letterboxd, so make sure to follow me there if you haven't already. But guys, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.